Welcome back to another episode of Sal and Pals Go to the Movies. This is a Throwback Thursday review. I'm here with my friend Touly. Say hi, Touly.
Hello, hello.
And today we're going to be reviewing Halloween, the 1978 movie. Just a fair warning, there will be spoilers up ahead, so you've been warned. 15 years after murdering his sister on Halloween night in 1963, Michael Myers escapes from a mental hospital and returns to the small town of Haddonfield to kill again. We reviewed this movie since they're making another Halloween movie coming out soon. Interesting thing about this is that the new Halloween movie is going to take part right after the original one. So there's not going to be a Halloween 2, Halloween 3, or the Rob Zombie versions. So this is straight off a second part to the original. So with that said, Touly, what did you think of this movie?
I don't know where to begin really, because I don't know if I should be evaluating this film based off my first watch of this film or, after having watched the film again after that time. And it has been a while since I last saw this film. I guess if I were to say or ask the question, did this film hold its ground? Did it hold well over time? And to that, I would say no, just because there were several moments throughout the film that made me think, why did the character act the way they did? What was the motivation? Or were they just being very stereotypical of teenagers that existed around the time that the film took place? I'm not completely sure, but yeah, it made me question a lot of the things more so than the first time I saw this movie. I mean, even the way the characters talked, it felt weird. I'm not sure if you remember, Sal, or you picked up on it, but
yeah,
it seemed like they were talking very, very slowly. I'm not sure if they were trying to enunciate every little thing they were saying, but it seemed like it didn't feel natural the way they were talking to each other, particularly the three friends. I'm not sure if I can do an impersonation or anything, but it's kind of like me speaking to you right now. If I were to be talking like this to you right now, Sal, it sounds kind of like that. It didn't sound natural at times, and I'm not sure if it was due to just the time when the film was being recorded that this sort of dialogue was acceptable, or it seemed natural at the time. I'm not sure, or it was just due to bad acting. Again, just watching it now in today's time, it just didn't feel right, and just a lot of the stuff that Michael Myers did in terms of just walking back and forth between the houses and stuff like that. He didn't really do anything special, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's still all right. It's better in a lot of ways, or it's better in certain ways than some of the more modern horror flicks that are out there. It relied less on jump scares, and actually, kind of like the film Hereditary that we reviewed, there were certain parts of the film that I really appreciated in that it made you think that Michael Myers was gonna jump out and get the character of interest, but it never happened. It was more like the anticipation was the greater experience versus him being there after one of the character made it seem like he was gonna pop up and get him or her. Of course, this did happen more so towards the end of the film, but at certain points I thought some of the characters were already should have been dead. I forget the name of the friend, but the one who got butter on her clothes and she went to go do the laundry or whatever, and she was in that outhouse, and I thought, okay, she's gone, but she didn't. I was like, that was great, because it misled me, but in a good way.
Yes.
And so again, it was the anticipation that got my adrenaline going there. Although her getting stuck there in the window, that was dumb.
Yes.
I don't know how someone gets stuck like that. So that's where I say things like that doesn't quite hold its ground in today's time, because I find that to be very unbelievable. Particularly if there's nothing chasing her or anything and she just got stuck there by trying to escape. Yeah, that was just weird. And was it the sister, or I forget, the one who was watching the TV?
Yes.
She just seemed very bland. She had no personality or anything until Michael Myers showed up, and then she was like, "Oh, I guess it's time for me to be scared or something." Which was totally opposite of the kid, the boy. He was scared of the boogeyman. I expected a little more personality out of her, but she was just whatever. Where is she? Where's I wish I remember the name of the character, but it's she's outside washing her clothes. She was being very carefree about the situation. So I just found that to be weird. for a girl her age to be so calm and, so bland. And then just, having Michael Myers just stalk the characters throughout most of the film. Like, nothing was really happening until, people started dying towards the end.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much how I felt after watching the film recently. If I were to evaluate it as an individual who had watched the film for the first time back in the 90s, I thought the film was great. I mean, definitely the tune, it was one of the most iconic tune ever to ever like grace the film industry, particularly in the horror film genre. When it comes to Halloween or just something spooky or whatever, people normally would go to this theme, particularly in the American entertainment culture. Normally it's either this one or the one from Friday the 13th. It's normally these two things that I hear often. It's due to these iconic movies. It's still good, I would say, but it's difficult for me to evaluate the film from me watching it for the first time versus me watching it today. I still like it though. I guess that's what I would say about it. I still like it, but I find more faults nowadays because it just doesn't hold as strongly as maybe a film that did really, really good, like a Ghostbuster film. That I feel like it held its ground pretty good, but not this film.
So I agree with you in some parts. In some parts, I'm going to basically give you a rebuttal. First of all, yeah, this is 1978. This is back in the days where nothing really happened in, little towns, quiet towns. People left their doors open, It's this whole thing of like happy-go-lucky and then the serial killer on the loose, which is what Halloween started. The first movie that started the slash culture film movies, horror movies. Because of them, we've got so many horror movies out there now which play homage to actually Halloween. So in a sense, this is not about the terror that you see people getting, killed and stuff like that. Because if you see close by, you don't really see a lot of blood. Especially when the first kill, when the girl's in the car and she gets her throat cut. We don't see the blood. We just see her like fainted, but she died. Based on that, this movie to me seemed like it's the equivalent to Jaws. Jaws made you fear the water. You didn't want to go swimming. This movie made you fear the dark outside during Halloween. People behind masks, you don't know who they are. It spooks you. It gives you this feel like, oh my God, who's watching me through the window? It's this whole fear of, I'm inside, but who's outside watching in? In that sense, like you said, it was the camera, how it followed people. Mike Myers was following people. Even when he was driving, we were in the back seat of the vehicle. And you notice that it wasn't from his point of view, it was from the back seat, and we're watching what he's watching. And then the heavy breathing behind the mask, that was basically like you riding the back seat. So to me, that's the thing that caused more fear, seeing it from his perspective versus people getting killed. There was only 3 people who got killed that Halloween night, minus the truck guy in the beginning where he actually got his infamous jumpsuit. Other than that, this movie, to me, when I was a kid, it put the fear in me of saying, like, don't go to bed without locking your door. Don't, like, ignore the little sounds outside or something. Be always cautious. Versus other people were like, oh, don't worry about it, it's people outside or something. This kind of made me feel my heart race in certain points of the movie when I was a kid. I wasn't scared that I was going to see some blood. I was scared that I see Mike Myers and they don't see him. He's lurking right in the background. Look, he's right there. Like, you want to point it out to them, but they don't see it. It's basically, for them, it's the danger they don't see. It's right around the corner, the same way that the detective, when he came into town, when he was at the tool shop and he was there, looking around, Mike Myers passes with his car behind him. And he's just like looking at the camera and you want to say, turn around. He's right there behind you. But he doesn't. So it's this whole intense moment, how the movie plays it. And to tell the truth, I see it like you saw it. Like nowadays, the dialogue doesn't hold up. But the fear is Mike Myers, is not the jump scares. It's not the gory factor. It's not anything else but just that. I saw some parts in the movie, for example, when Bob, one of the boyfriends, gets killed. He goes to, I think he goes to get a beer. He grabs him, pulls him up with a knife, stabs him mid-part, like around his stomach, the midsection, and he stays stuck to the wall with the knife inside of his gut. Thinking about it now that I'm older and everything, I'm like, well, if that was true, the knife would have had to be longer, and on top of that, wouldn't the upper torso body would lean down and then cause the knife to, it's unbelievable. You can't, it's like impossible for him to get stuck by getting pierced through the stomach and attached to the wall kind of thing. So in a sense, I see it some bits like you did, but the other parts where I still see that it holds up in the fear factor, how the movie was done. Also the theme, that's the all-time scariest theme that I can have on my list for Halloween references or a Halloween playlist. It's iconic. It's memorable. Now, let's talk about Jamie Lee Curtis. She is not, I don't want to say amazing in this movie. She's just like like you said, she's plain. She doesn't stand out, but that's the whole point. You have a subject who doesn't stand out and gets targeted, and we don't know why she gets targeted. We don't even know if she's related or she's going to get killed or, what's going to happen. And obviously, Mike Myers goes after her friends first and leaves her at the end. So we don't even know if it's his idea or he has a plan to it. So the whole thing is just this mass murderer out to kill people. And that's what I got from the movie. Now, from my point of view, present, with all the other remakes that we see, now it's getting kind of complicated. Now Michael Myers, according to some versions, the Rob Zombie versus the original versus this versus that, he's some kind of supernatural being. He has magical powers. He has a telepathic link between him and his sister. Then he has the link between him and his niece, and totally BS kind of thing if I want to be truth. But if we just talk about the original, I think the original held up to some points, but some points it's laughable.
I wanted to ask you a question, and I guess it kind of ties in with the upcoming Halloween movie too. So we said that the theme that is used in this movie is pretty iconic, and just to correct myself, I misspoke a little earlier. I said the other theme song that to me really stands out in American horror film that kind of revolves around this horror theme. I said Friday the 13th, but that's with Jason though.
Yes.
That wasn't really a theme. It was more like a little hiss. I think I meant to say A Nightmare on Elm Street. That's yes. The other one to me that has this theme to it that I really go to around Halloween time. But anyway, so were you annoyed, or how did you feel about that theme being played so often in this film? I guess if it was your first time watching it back at when you were a kid, it probably gave you the chills and whatnot. It probably was all right, but having watched it in today's time, how did you feel about just you hearing that theme over and over? And then in relationship to the new movie, would you be all right if they did not play that theme as often, or just leave it out completely until the credit scene? Or how do you feel about that?
Okay, so let's tackle it. First part, the song, when I first saw it, it kind of did give me the creeps. Versus at the same time, it basically made me think okay, something's gonna happen. So it was a little alert to me. Now when I see it, it's really iconic to me. So I kind of love it when I hear it. It brings back memories. So I actually like the fact that they have it in the movie that often. Now to talk about the present movie. Am I going to be against them not having it? Not really. As long as they have it in the ending credits, I'm okay with it. But if they do have it in the movie, I'm okay with it, because to me it's this kind of theme, little jingle like the Jaws song. It's telling you when the shark is close by, so it kind of sets up the scene to me. Halloween, that's what it is. It's like the Halloween theme. If it's playing, Michael's somewhere around. He's lurking. Mm-hmm. If it's not there, I really wouldn't or make a big deal about it. If it's not there, it's not there. As long as they play it at the end in the credits or something, I would be okay with it.
So it's more like Halloween has a history, or movies like Halloween has a history, and there's a theme that's associated with this history. Then you're okay with the theme being there or not being there during the actual movie, as long as it's in there somewhere during the credit scene or something. But yes. Let's say the movie The Nun, which recently came out. Yeah. If that had a theme song and it kept on being played, you wouldn't be too fond for it, right? No. I mean, to me, the reason I'm okay with Halloween is because it's playing. This is the second part to the movie, and then it's tying back to the first part, and it's just reinstating itself. I'm Halloween, and I'm here, and this is what you wanted. So it's kind of almost when we go to see Star Wars and we hear the opening
song when the scrolling text. It's something you expect because you know it's Star Wars. But if it's a new movie, and it's a Django and it just keep playing over and over, sometimes it might get overdone if it's not already established. That's what I want to say. Like if it's not pre-established, don't play too much with little Django.
Yeah. All right, got it.
So with that, we're gonna give it our final grade. Touly, what grade did you give this movie?
Let's see. First time watching this film, I would say it was pretty good. I'll probably give it like around an 8. But in today's time, I mean, I still love like I said too, the anticipation that this film builds up at certain points. It's really good, in my opinion. And this is, again, comparing it to modern horror films here too, because I think that's the one aspect that a lot of these horror flicks nowadays are lacking, and they rely too much on jump scares. Yeah, with that being said, I say my present day score will probably be like around a 6.5 to a 7. But definitely, like, first time watching it, I enjoyed it though.
Okay, so I'm going to be a little biased because I'm a fan of Halloween and any horror movies. To me, this movie is one that established some of the rules that, horror movies should follow. So I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. First of all, what I liked about it was that it took place in one night. The Halloween night, if you want to say, is like 24 hours. That alone, with the anticipation, like you said, it basically brings it all together, and you can basically be like, okay, so it's all happening at one time. You go from one day to another and you're done. No stretching it for, a few weeks, a few months or something like other horror movies have done. So I give it an 8 out of 10 because it's an iconic movie. It still holds to some degree, in some sense, to modern movies and horror genre. They still learn from it, and I want more movies to pay attention to how this movie was done, with subtle hints, not jump scares. Like you said, I'm not really a big fan of jump scares. I'm so annoyed at them. They're not scary to me. It's just really annoying. So learn from this, build a story to it, and set it up, and just have the character lurk or something. Okay, so that wraps up this review for Halloween. Join us next time when we review the American remake of Let the Right One In, and the American title is Let Me In, from 2010. And social media is down in the description, and hit us up if you have any questions, and remember, keep watching movies.